January 2, 2026 at 10:30 a.m. The grind never stops. 2026 is here, guys. Unit 2, Section 5. God damn it. Mental decluttering. By this point, you've already decluttered your room, your phone, your computer, and everything else in your life. Now it's time for the hardest part. That's what she said. Your brain. The whole point of self-improvement is to become physically and mentally better. Correct? Yeah. You've already learned how to let go in Section 1 of Unit 2. But now it's time to apply that to yourself. There's no point in cleaning your room or deleting apps on your phone or computer if your own mind is full of clutter, full of sadness, full of regret, full of past mistakes. The goal is to move on from the past and focus on your personal growth, your happiness, and your mental clarity. Step 1 is to let go of the past. The first and perhaps the hardest step of this unit, not of this unit, but of this section, is to let go of the past. This includes old relationships, past friendships, regrets, mistakes, losses that you think about constantly throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the day. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting that it happened. Letting go means honoring the memory without letting it control your actions. For example, I just finished watching Stranger Things Season 5, the finale. To be honest, I was a bit disappointed because people on Reddit and even the directors of the show, the Duffer brothers, even said it was going to be the saddest episode ever. Everybody's going to die. And nobody died. You know what I mean? They thought, everyone said it was going to be the saddest episode ever. There's not going to be a dry eye in the audience. And then I watched it and, it was good, but nobody died. But anyway, there's a line in the finale where Jim talks to Mike. It's towards the end of the final episode. Mike is thinking about how do I say this without spoiling the end? Anyway, okay, so Jim and Mike are talking to each other. Mike is really sad. He's upset. And Jim, he goes up to him and he says, "Kid," he puts his hand on his shoulder, I think. Then he says, "Kid, there's 2 roads that you can go down. You could go down the road where you constantly think about what happened and you replay that memory in your head. How could have I done things differently? Or there's road number 2 where you acknowledge that it happened, but you're willing not to let that memory dictate your life." I don't remember the quote exactly verbatim, but it's something along those lines that Jim said to Mike of, there's road 1 where you can go down and you can constantly be sad about it, constantly think about how things could have been different. Or there's road number 2 where you learn from it, you move on from it. Road number 2 is where we want to be at in this section. For more of a personal example, I made a video called How to Move On from Your Ex. I literally spent, I believe, I think the video is like 3 hours long, talking about how to move on. And in that video, my process on moving on, what really, really helped me was writing a letter. So I was still stuck on my ex, so what really helped me is I wrote a letter to her. but I didn't send it to her. I wrote a letter talking about her, and I read that letter out loud on YouTube. I made a YouTube video about it. And then at the end of the YouTube video, it was kind of therapeutic. I went to a paper shredder and I shredded up all the papers that I've wrote. And I didn't think the video would help, but there's something about reading a letter out loud, posting it on the internet for everyone to see, shredding up that piece of paper, and letting it go. So if you're having problems, trying to move on, try writing a letter to them, but don't send it to them. Read it out loud to yourself, and set the paper on fire or shred it up. And I didn't think it would help me move on, but it did. It took me 4 or 5 years to actually move on, because we dated from 2018 to 2019, like 6 or 7 months, and then I made that video about 2 years ago. Yeah, it took me up until 2023-ish to finally move on, and it's 2026 now. So write a letter, handwrite it if possible. Pour all your thoughts and feelings into it. Read it out loud, whether on camera or just to yourself, or read it to a family member, a friend, whoever. Something about vocalizing your emotions helps you process what happened. And then after you're done, shred it, destroy it, set it on fire, do something dramatic. Literally, letting go physically helps reinforce letting go mentally. I wrote approximately 20 pages. Yeah, 20 pages. If you don't believe me, watch that video. About my ex. It took me about a week to write it, spending about 30 minutes here, 2 hours there. It took me about a week to write it. When I first got the idea to do it, I didn't plan to write that much. I thought it would take me an hour to write. I thought I would write maybe 1 page, but it ended up being a whole novel. I stopped writing when I felt as if the story felt finished to me. I stopped writing when I felt no words could come out of my head. I told myself I'm just going to keep writing until I just can't anymore, until I've said all I needed to say. And I came to a logical conclusion at 20 pages. But as I wrote more, the story naturally came to an end. Once I read it out loud and shredded the papers, I felt complete closure. I no longer thought about her every day. I do think about her maybe once every week or once every other week, but when I do think about her, I don't think about her in terms of, oh, I miss you, oh, I miss her, blah, blah, blah. I just think about her like, oh, there's just somebody that I used to know, literally. But the emotional weight of her, the emotional weight of what happened to me is gone. I no longer think about her in a negative way. I don't even think about her in a positive way. It's just something that I just don't think about. I also repeated this process with Aquina. If you guys want to know the whole story, I believe I made like a 3 or 4 video series of inserted here. I repeated the same process with Aquina because I thought, okay, I have one more girl that I need to forget. If you guys want to know the full story, I'm not going to explain here. But Aquina was my first love. I never got over her. And then I dated then I dated Sophia, which I got over within a couple of years. but I've knew Okona longer. I met her in 7th grade and I still haven't forgot about her. So I just thought, okay, if it helped with Sophia, it may help with her. So I repeated the same process. A girl I struggled to let go of for almost 10 years. And then so I started the process of moving on. For the whole year, I wrote letters to her on a website called letterstocrashes.com. It's a website for anonymous people to write anonymous love letters. It can be as anonymous as you want it to be. If you want to know, you can read these letters. I'll insert pictures here. Then I also made a couple of videos talking about her. I even got to the point of actually talking to her on social media, actually. If you want to know, watch these videos. This helped me change how I felt about the past. Even if I couldn't change the events that happened, I could change how these events affect who I am today. The key takeaway is nobody can make you move on but yourself. Writing, talking, and actively processing the past will help you declutter your mind. Well, at least it helped me. And after I did all of that, I wrote letters to her. I came to a logical conclusion. It took me 33 letters. Then I made a couple of videos talking about her, and somewhere along the line, my mind stopped thinking about her. I remember I slowly went from thinking about her every day to every other day to every week. Now when I do think about her, I don't think about her in a positive way or a negative way. She's just somebody that I used to know. And it used to affect my life greatly. My whole life would be stalking her on Instagram. I would spend hours a day wasting time when I should have been practicing the piano, practicing the guitar, should have been reading a book. When I would spend 3 hours a day stalking this person on the internet, which is not healthy at all. Step 2 is to focus on today. The next tip is simple but powerful. Focus on today. Don't stress about tomorrow or worry about the things that you cannot control today. The next day. Mental decluttering begins with presence. Handle what's in front of you, and the rest will follow. Don't be a hypochondriac. Coming from a person who is a hypochondriac. I know it's difficult not to worry about what's going to happen the next day. Focus on today. Focus on yourself today. Don't worry about next week. Worry about today. Step 3 is to try and do better. This is a philosophy that I got from Spider-Man. More specifically, Tobey Maguire's adaptation of Spider-Man. There's this scene where he tells Dr. Octavius, and Octavius goes, "So, what's his name? Dr. Connors told me you're smart but lazy." And then Peter goes, "I'm trying to do better." And something about that scene stuck with me. Life isn't just about surviving. It's about improving every day. And even as someone like Spider-Man, you would think, I'm trying to do better. What do you mean he's trying to do better? He's Spider-Man. He saves the world. He doesn't need to do better. But even as a superhero, he said that. And something about that scene stuck with me. Every choice, every action, every reaction Try and do better than you did yesterday. Trying to do better than yesterday. Even Peter, as Spider-Man, he said that. Dr. Connors told me, you're smart but lazy. Yeah, I'm trying to do better. Self-improvement is trying to do better. Try and become better a little each day. Step 4 is to write down everything on your mind. This is a practical step into mental decluttering, is to write down all of your worries. Write down anything and everything that you think about right now in this moment. Regrets, thoughts, worries, anything. This includes everything that stresses you out, even everything that makes you happy in life. Write down everything that you think about, big or small. For instance, I don't have a job. My YouTube videos aren't performing well. I keep thinking about my past relationships. Ask yourself, what have I been replaying in my head a lot? What is your inner voice saying to yourself? I'm fat. I'm ugly. My YouTube channel isn't performing. I don't have a job. I need to find a job. Once you write down what your mind has been screaming at you all this time, read it out loud and talk about it. If you don't have anyone to talk to yourself, talk to your dog. Hell, you can even talk to me. My Instagram is linked below in the description, as well it's linked in my bio. The act of expressing your thoughts helps process and lighten the emotional load. Tip 5, step 5 into how to declutter your mind is identify recurring thoughts. Next, identify which thoughts keep coming back and which causes the most amount of pain in your life. Be honest with yourself. For me, one of the many thoughts that keep circling around my mind is finding a job. How do I find a job when I'm applying for jobs? How differently can I apply for jobs? I apply for jobs about every couple days and I don't get anything back. And then another thought that keeps circling my mind is, my YouTube channel. For me, not having a job is stressful, but obsessing over past relationships wasted hours of my life every day. Once I prioritized letting go of the past, my mental energy freed up for real things that actually happened. The moment that I let go, my mind had time to think about other important things in my life. Because the time that I spent thinking about the past, I'm wasting it on not thinking about filming a YouTube video or playing the guitar, reading a book. Because I would lay in my bed and literally just think. I would listen to music and waste time laying in my bed and think. I would do nothing all day but just think. But as soon as I let myself go, I went through the steps on letting go of the past, forgiving myself and forgetting the past. I was finally able to start self-improvement. Step 6 is to apply the 13 steps of decluttering, or the 12 steps of decluttering. So decluttering your phone, follow the 12 steps on how to declutter your phone, and then follow the 13 steps on how to declutter a computer, and then also go back to the 23 steps on how to declutter your room back in section 3. You want to apply the same tips on your mind. It's going to take a lot of brain power because some of those steps, how are you going to compare that to decluttering a mind? You can't go and undelete files in your brain. But it's the philosophy of it. You can go in your brain and you can mentally think, what sections of my brain do I have to undownload? Imagine boxes in your brain. Imagine you have all of these bottled up emotions, and think about you have these little boxes in your brain. And in those boxes, you want to store memories, emotions, feelings, knowledge in each one of those boxes. Each box has a label in your mind. Okay, I have a box that's for all the mistakes I've made. Boxes for all of the people that broke up with me. I have a box that's all the knowledge that I have. And then I have a box of all the knowledge that I have with playing music, the guitar and piano. Then I have a box for all the regrets that I have in life. You want to put all those memories in each one of those boxes that fits. And then you want to have boxes for those boxes, and then boxes for those boxes. And in a way, you're sorting out each one of those boxes, and you are putting it away. You aren't neglecting your emotions. You aren't hiding your emotions. In a way, you are putting your individual feelings in boxes, and then you're shoving it away for later. I know it's really hard to comprehend. Imagine little tiny boxes, a lot of boxes. Imagine a lot of boxes in your head. And then you shove your feelings into those boxes. And you store them away. That's what step 6 is. Being honest with yourself, taking time to yourself. What is something that you honestly think about on a day-to-day basis? When you are going through a tough time in your life, just think about boxes. Think about having those boxes in your brain. Step 7 is to prioritize and categorize your mental state. Here's a practical framework for mental decluttering. Tip 1 is immediate actions. Things that need urgent attention. Applying for a job. Things that you will probably die if you don't control it. Tip 2 is ongoing concerns. Long-term issues requiring effort over time, like for example, moving on from an ex. And then 3, uncontrollable thoughts, things you can't change, but you can control how you feel about them. So step 7 is basically prioritize and categorize your mental state. Focus on the most important emotion first. If you think about depression a lot, don't hide that away. You need to fix that because that's an immediate action. There's 3 groups. You want to decide if whatever emotion or thought that you have is either one of, is it an immediate action, is it an ongoing concern, or is it just an uncontrollable thought? You want to focus on number 1 first. Same thing with decluttering a room. You want to start with the most messiest room first. Start with the thought, start with the feeling that causes the most negativity in your life. Remember this, 100% of life is how you react. You cannot control others, you cannot control events that happen, you cannot control the circumstances. But what you can control is how you react to those events. For example, today my mother yelled at me because the Wi-Fi didn't work today. It didn't work for about a few minutes. And I wanted to yell back, but I didn't. That's mental decluttering in action. That is having control. That is having self-control. Perspective matters. Don't let small things trigger you. Do not let the small things dominate your mental space. For example, the people who get road rage. There are worse things in life to worry about, and then people driving slow. And I'm not just talking about if you get mad, I'm talking about like someone else gets mad. There's worse things in life, and then someone getting mad at you for driving too slow or too fast. There's worse things in life. There are people starving to death. There are people who have to work 3 jobs just to buy themselves breakfast in the morning. We don't take enough gratitude with our lives. Most likely, you are watching this video in the comfort of your own home, your own bed. You don't have to worry about paying the phone bill, the Wi-Fi, the light bill. We don't take enough gratitude on the things that we have. The next time when you are in a situation where you are about to get mad or you witness someone getting mad, think to yourself, wow, they are that mad when there's people that are harmless. There are people out there who are in a situation worse than your life right now. Tip 8 is all about prioritizing your emotions into 3 groups, Prioritize them into 1 of 3 groups. Is it a immediate action that you need to cure? Is it a somewhat immediate action that will take time that you need to cure? Or step 3, is it just one of those things something that you can't control? When I applied this step to my life, I've noticed an immense improvement in my anger. I used to have anger problems. I would get irritated a lot. What really helped me is this step, and also reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. That book talks a lot about self-control. And it goes beyond anger. Self-control can go as far as having discipline, having motivation, saying no when you want to say yes, or saying yes when you want to say no. When the slightest inconvenience bothers me, it doesn't bother me anymore. It bothers me, but it doesn't make me angry because, it happens. Step 8 is one of those things. Once you start decluttering your mind, once you start figuring out what you need to cure in your mind, when you start getting rid of all those negative thoughts in your head, you start to become less irritated with the world around you, because 100% of life is how you react to them. If somebody cuts you off, you can either get mad, or you can either say, okay, maybe he's having a bad day. Maybe they're late for work. Maybe they're they're expecting a child and they're rushing to the hospital. We don't know what's going on in other people's lives. What we do know is how we can control our actions. 100% of life is how you react to them. Tip 8 is all about prioritizing your mind. It's prioritizing the most important things. Because once you do that, everything in life will feel calm. Everything in life will come naturally to you. Everything in life will feel as if you are in an ocean wave. You have weight lifted off your shoulders. It's very important to get rid of mental clutter in your brain. Make those little tiny boxes, because only then you can become self-aware of the world around you. Because if you have a messy mind, you're gonna bring that messy mind out into the world around you, around other people in your life. Step 8 is to practice mindfulness and presence. This is sort of the same thing as step 7. Understand your triggers. Understand what makes you angry. Understand what makes you happy. Awareness allows you to avoid negative reactions and amplify only the positive ones. For me, my dogs make me happy. When I feel upset, I'll go back and I'll look at them. I'll go outside and I'll pet my dogs. Or I'll play some music on the guitar or the piano. This resets my mind. One way to practice mindfulness is, you hear a lot about take cold showers, practice meditations, read the Bible. We all need to find some sort of outlet where we can express all of our demons at. Some people like to go to the gym because it releases anger by lifting weights. We all need to find that one thing in our life where we can constantly go to be alone. Whether that's the gym, reading the Bible, spending time with the dogs, or even watching a movie. Practice mindfulness and presence. Whenever you're feeling angry, go do that one hobby, or a couple hobbies. It doesn't have to be just one. You can pick multiple hobbies. Find a source of place where you can go to when times get tough. The gym, the Bible, your dogs, music, or all of those things. No matter how stupid it may sound, or how stupid some people may think it is, no place is stupid for you. Only you can decide that. It could be a library, it could be sewing, it could be yoga. Whatever it is that you like, that makes you happy, that keeps you calm, do that. It's very important to find a place where your brain can go home to at the end of the day. Because sometimes the place where you lay your head down at the end of the day is not the place that you call home. Step 9 is to surround yourself with your goals. Step 9 is a game changer. Fill your life with goals and productive habits. Before self-improvement, I had a lot of idle time after school. That's when I would engage in habits like watching things I wasn't supposed to. And it wasn't that I was obsessed with it. It was enough to waste time. I was never obsessed with it, but it was enough to waste about an hour or two of my day. The more time you have in the day, the more clutter you have in your brain, the more likely you are, the more tempting it is to go back to old habits or to make bad habits. If you fill your life with goals, if you surround yourself with people who inspire you, like Harley Quinn inspires me, Machine Gun Kelly inspires me. If you surround your life with people who you inspire to be, or people who motivate you, or people who you just like, it will make those temptations a lot harder to do. Once I've started focusing on YouTube in 2023, and then once when I started focusing on Korean, playing the piano, the guitar, reading books, and any other of my productive hobbies, I no longer had the time, I no longer had the mental space or time for bad habits. In a way, you are suppressing those feelings. In a way, at the end of the day, I probably have about 1 hour or 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours of free time at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I like to watch TV. That's just something that I like to do. Because I like watching TV because it helps me escape the reality. I like to escape in the movies that I watch. The last couple hours of my day, I rather spend watching TV and then rather watching it doing something else, if you know what I mean. I rather do something that I love doing instead of self-destructive behavior. The key is the busier you are with your goals, the less likely you are to give in with your negative thoughts or habits. Substitute that time with productive habits. Your mind will finally thank you. This is gonna sound a bit counterproductive to say, but what really helped me with my depression is to fill things up in your day. Like literally be busy. You have no time to be sad. When I started self-improvement, I was dealing with suicidal thoughts. But when I started filling my day up with my goals, filling up my day with things that I want to complete, YouTube, guitar, piano, reading, Korean, writing songs, at the end of the day, I didn't have any time to think about being sad because I was so concentrated on, okay, I have to play the guitar, I have to do the piano, I have to do the YouTube, then I have to read, then I have to do Korean, then I have to walk my dogs. In a way, your brain doesn't have time to think that you are sad. And then the last couple hours of my day, I want to watch TV because that's just something that I enjoy doing at the end of the day. And then somewhere along the line, I wouldn't say that I cured my depression. I'm very much depressed. But I can honestly say with my whole heart that I no longer think about killing myself anymore. I made a video talking about it. I'll insert it here somewhere. I don't think about ending my life anymore because there's so many things in my life right now that if I do end my life, I can't complete my goals. You know, this goes back to finding your purpose, finding your inspiration, your discipline, your motivation. Step 9 is basically a good way to cure your depression is to literally be busy all the time. But the good type of busy. You know, find things that you like doing and just do it. Because you won't have time to think about being sad. You won't have time to think about the past. It's going back to those boxes in your brain. You imagine your feelings, you have those boxes, and you put those feelings in those boxes, and you shove them away. when you surround yourself with productive habits, or not productive, but in general, when you surround yourself with things that you want to accomplish, you start accomplishing those things in life. I found purpose in YouTube because if I end my life, then it'll be all for nothing. All those hours wasted for nothing. You know what I mean? It has been a while. The date is January 16th. I'm filming this. The last clip you saw me, I filmed that about 2 weeks ago. I haven't filmed in about 2 weeks. Anyway, leaving off of step 9 is, I want to add this to step 9 before I move on to step 10 is, everything I do revolves around either my dogs or YouTube, especially YouTube. Because if I don't play the guitar, I won't have content for YouTube. If I don't play the piano, you get it. I don't have content for YouTube. If I don't read my book, I don't have content for YouTube. So when you surround yourself with goals, more specifically, surround yourself with things that mean something to you. Find something that you can somehow combine those goals together. I know I'm not explaining it very well, but for example, my 2 dogs, they mean the world to me. Right now, they live outside. They have a house, and they have a dog house, a tool shed. They sleep in it at night. Then during the day, they roam free. But the stipulation was if I want to own dogs, they have to live outside. And my goal is to find a place to live. Yeah, I do YouTube because I like filming YouTube videos, and it's my dream. But it's more of a motivation to make good YouTube videos, so I could be monetized, and it motivates me to keep practicing the guitar and piano. Because if I don't film myself playing the guitar or piano, I have no content, if that makes sense. I don't know, I just wanted to put that out there. That when you surround yourself with goals, the less likely you are to give in with negative thoughts, being busy all the time. Step 10 is to declutter your environment. Your environment reflects your mind. A messy room often means a cluttered mind. That's why that's why in the last section we talked about how to declutter a room. No, not in the last session, but 2 videos ago, we talked about how to declutter your room, how to clean up your room, and how to declutter electronics, which was the last section. All of that is necessary before you start tackling the mental side of your brain. Think of your brain as a computer on fire. I'm gonna insert that SpongeBob meme again. But imagine your brain full of files that's on fire that you need to sort out. Some files are more easy to delete and others are not because they include more emotional attachment to it. Mental decluttering takes time, patience, and it takes methodical effort. But once you master it, the relief is immense. Your environment shapes who you are. So step 10 is basically clean up your room. And then you can focus on your brain. Step 11 is create a maintenance schedule. Decluttering isn't a one-time task. It's ongoing. To maintain the mess that you just cleaned up, set a schedule of every week clean your room for 30 minutes, or every month clean your room for 30 minutes. Throw away papers that's accumulated on your decks. Crawl underneath the bed to see if there's anything underneath it. Organize your closet and you get the rest. Create even a schedule to declutter your phone. Every month, set a time and a date, okay, where, okay, at the end of the month, I'm going to go in my photos on my phone and delete pictures that I don't need. Every 6 months or every year, do a light declutter of the room. Go in there, do deep cleaning, at least once a year to refresh the physical and mental space. But it's very important to keep a weekly or at least monthly maintenance. Because what's the point of it all? What's the point of cleaning your room when it's just going to be messy again? To keep messy in order, to keep it in line, you have to maintain it. Make a schedule. Step 12 is almost the same as step 11, is to make rules, create rules. Create personal rules to guide your life. Like for example, the buy one, take one rule is just one example. You can make rules for the apps that you install, items that you buy, the social media that you use. So with these rules, it's a sort of a maintenance thing. So it's to declutter is to have awareness. Again, what's the point of it all when it's just going to be a mess? To prevent that mess, you need to make rules that, okay, before, like you can say, for example, okay, I want to download this app so bad. But before I download this app, is there any apps that I should get rid of? So the buy one, take one rule is, before you buy a new pair of shoes, maybe decide if maybe you should throw away an old pair of shoes. Buy one, take one. And it saves up a lot of space instead of your accumulated space. And obviously, that doesn't work 100% of the time, but half of the time it works, the buy one, take one rule. Is the next time you want to buy a new t-shirt, ask yourself, okay, I'm gonna buy this t-shirt because I really want it. Then ask yourself, okay, so that's one more t-shirt that I have in my closet. Is there a t-shirt maybe that I could give away or throw away? Buy one, take one. Make rules to make the maintenance a lot easier. Creating rules is more of a kind of like schedule, like saying, okay, I'm gonna work out five times a week. That's a goal. That's a goal. It keeps you accountable. Step 12 is just like that. Rules are like a game manual for life. It's a instruction manual of a video game. It helps you stay consistent and disciplined. Everyone else's rules will look different depending on your lifestyle. The last step is step 13, which is to let go. Finally, the ultimate step is just to let go. After decluttering your space, your electronic devices, and your mind, after setting goals, creating your rule book, and maintaining your schedule, it all comes down to this. Let go of the past. Let go of the regrets that you have. Let go of the mistakes that you've made. Because you came this far. You've done the work. Now it's time to release it. That's the essence of mental decluttering. And the entire goal of Unit 2 is just to let go. I'm not going to include the clip here because I got copyrighted. But Fight Club, that scene that we talked about of them in the car, just let go. And then obviously when you drive, you don't want to let go of the steering wheel. It's just a movie to make it more dramatic. It's the essence, it's a metaphor. Just let go. In conclusion, mental decluttering is going to be the most, it is the most challenging, but it's the most rewarding part of self-improvement. It requires reflection, patience, and structured effort, aka discipline. But if you follow these steps, letting go, writing, talking, prioritizing, setting goals, decluttering your environment, and creating rules, you will gradually achieve clarity. You will gradually achieve happiness and freedom from mental clutter. And remember this, 100% of life is how you react. Your mind is your most valuable tool. Treat it with the care that it deserves. Treat your brain like it deserves to be treated. This is your homework for Unit 2, Section 5, Decluttering Your Brain or Mental Decluttering, is follow these 13 steps. Step 1 is to let go of the past. Step 2 is just focus on today. Focus on what is in front of you. Step 3 is have the philosophy of try and do better every day of your life. Try and become better 1%. Try and become 1% better. Step 4 is to write down everything on your mind. If you have any mistakes, regrets. One good practice is to practice journaling. Step 4 is to write down everything on your mind to help you declutter. Step 5 is to identify recurring thoughts. 6 is to apply the 13 steps of decluttering. Step 7 is to prioritize and categorize your mental state. 8, practice mindfulness and presence. Step 9 is surround yourself with goals. 10, declutter your environment. 11, create a maintenance schedule. 12, create rules. And step 13 is to let go. These 13 steps, if you follow these 13 steps, they will help you become mentally clear. Well, somewhat mentally clear. These steps has personally helped me alleviate my symptoms of depression. So it may help you with that as well. I'll see you in the next section. No matter how insane you may be, there is always someone out there to complete the insanity.